Y'all can split that one up pretty good. All right, so if y'all are not familiar with what we do here, the first and foremost mission of this is to honor the fallen. Okay. In 2019, we had 147 officers killed in the line of duty, and we're here to honor those fallen. And over there, there's 147 weights that's dedicated to each one of those fallen officers. Each one of those weights are going to be carried the distance of the miles. So those weights are going to go 21 miles. Y'all don't have to go 21 miles. Y'all just have to make sure that those weights keep. So what I mean by that is what I see a lot of teams do is that they'll kind of split in half carry weight, half rest, and they'll rotate loops. So one group will do a lap, another group will do a lap. Okay. A lot of them, they go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to do every one of these laps. And they just go ahead and determine, they get their weight, and they just continue working with the team. But here's the standard that you have to meet today. So those weights, it's going to be every ounce of every pound. All that weight it's a lead that I've collected, melted down, I've pulled all the junk out of it, clean it up, make it respectful, cast it into 1 pound ingots, 1 pound weights. Each one has been weighed to exactly 16 ounces or more, no less. If it was 15.9, we got through back in the pot. We're not going to short these officers even a single ounce off their weight. We're going to do every step, every mile. This loop I've checked and rechecked on my watch is exactly 3 miles. So much so I was nervous coming up to the table that I was going to be short. It was like 2.98 and 2.99. I mean, it's that close. So it is absolutely imperative that you do not cut a single corner. Even out on Bobby Brown Road, you'll see the signs kind of at the far end of that pavement. Just go closer to the signs before you take your right to go out on Bobby Brown. It's going to be that important. If I find out that anybody's cutting, if we cut a single corner and we disrespect these officers, I don't know, I guess we'll make up that distance somehow, but we're not going to disrespect them with even a single step. Every story will be heard. On that table is a binder with the bios. It's got the full bios with the call they were going to, even the family members they've left behind. That part is really important to me. You're going to get to know the people that are in your pack, how long they were in law enforcement. And some of these, it gets me every time because they're like, they left behind a wife 8 months pregnant. And that stuff, these officers all over this country are putting it on the line for other people and for their community. And I think we're going to do them some homage here. We're going to pay them the honor they deserve. The flags, there's 3 flags: American flag, blue line American flag with the names of the fallen on the flag, and the End of Watch Memorial Rope flag. Those 3 flags are going to go the whole distance as well. Preferably keep the American flag up in front. Obviously things are going to shuffle around, but I like to keep red, white, blue leading the way. Next couple things I want to go over is just some parts about this. I don't want this to just be a ruck. We'll come out here, we're going to learn a few things. We're going to come out on the other end with a better appreciation for this. So another thing, one of the standards we're going to hold to is attention to detail. I'm a field training officer at my agency, and I sometimes get these patches made. So the inside of my truck looks like a 3rd grade classroom. All these patches up on the seat. One of them here that I'm always pushing into their heads, attention to detail. Whenever you're searching a suspect on scene and you miss something, that can mean your partner's life. So attention to detail. They've got these little cuff keys they stick back up in their belt loops. I always tell my trainees to find the dime, find the paper clip, find the thing, whatever it is. Attention to detail. Whenever you're out on this loop, your attention to detail will be with each other. I need you to pay attention to see if she stops sweating. Y'all need to be watching are they sweating? Do they have a limp now that they didn't earlier? Half of this is on the grass, and there's like a tree over there that's got big balls. I don't know what drop, what you call it, but it's like walking on golf balls. So if somebody starts limping, take care of each other. So just paying attention to that detail. Whenever if you do split up, and let's say you've done a lap and you want to take a break and you're passing your weight off to somebody else, make sure that all of the weights are out of your ruck. because if that team takes off and you find some weights in your ruck, those are going to have to catch up somehow or another, because every weight is going to take every mile. The reason that I've had that question asked before, it's like, well, if 1 mile is dedicated to that officer, why don't you just carry that one officer's weight for that time? And it's like, but the term I know y'all have heard is, in this family, no one fights alone. So even in death, no one's going to fight alone. So while that mile may be dedicated to this officer, he's going to have all of his friends right there with him, with their hand on his shoulder, helping him through that final mile. The next thing we're going to go over is just kind of leads into the next thing. Is teamwork is key. Not a single person here can do this alone. If you can carry all 147 pounds across your 21 miles, I want to see you do it. But you can't. Y'all need each other. So y'all need to take care of each other. What I don't want to see is a group over here at this part of the field, and then 1 or 2 people in the back, in this back corner, half a mile away. That's not teamwork. That's leaving your shift behind. That's failing your team and leaving them behind. How many times you've been sitting in muster and you've got somebody sitting at the table, they're sitting quiet. They got something weighing heavy on their shoulder, but then no one talks to them. So we don't take care of each other. We've got to take care of our teammates and our shift mates. Law enforcement suicides are going up way too much. There's too much stress, cumulative stress. There's too much going on right now. Our profession is hurting. You'll see it in social media. You'll see it in the news. We've got to take care of each other. Another thing, whenever you're on a team, you're on a shift, you're out there taking calls, you are 1 or 2 things. You are an asset or a liability. There is no gray area. There's nothing in between. You're either helping the team or you're hurting the team. So you're either taking calls and getting the job done, you're helping, or you're holding everybody back. Out here, you're either an asset to the team or you're holding people back. An asset does not all assets look the same. So you may be able to carry 30 pounds in your ruck and do a 15-minute mile, but maybe you can't. But what you can do is make sure everybody's got waters. Make sure everybody's got snacks. If somebody looks like they're dragging a little bit, tell them a cool joke or something. I don't know. Lift morale. If anybody brought a speaker box, keep that going. There's multiple different ways. It takes several different parts to make a whole body. And if it was all one part, it wouldn't work. Did you have all the weight? The last thing is that kind of the standard here is that the standards don't care about your excuses. Those weights are not changing. They are constant. It will be 1 pound in the beginning, and it will be 1 very hard pound in the very end. But you are not constant. Y'all need each other. Y'all need to change your strategy as your feet get to hurting. Figure out what you got to do. You got to figure it out. But while the standards don't care about your excuses, your friends and your family do. So if things are getting tough, go to your friends and family. Go to your teammates. Communicate. Hey, I've got a blister popping up. I probably need to take care of it. I'm going to sit this lap out. So that can be hard to do. I can't tell you how many times I've heard it. It's like, well, but I don't want to give them my weight because now they're picking up my slack. But if you don't take care of that blister now, that next lap, now you're the liability because you're walking at a 45-minute pace and everybody else is trying to keep the time hacks. Okay. So this loop is exactly 3 miles. The minimum pace is set at a 20-minute mile pace. That's 1 loop an hour. So y'all are going to step off at what, 1600? At 4 o'clock? If y'all finish early on that first hour loop, y'all can either just keep going and bank your time in case you start to slag later, or some of these guys are taking a second, going to the bathroom, grabbing a drink. Just keep that in mind whenever y'all do those transitions. Just once again, each mile is in memory of the officers. The weight not only just represents the officers, but the burden of the badge. We've all been given an incredible, as law enforcement, most of this crew is law enforcement, except for just a few, right? So we have, as you get to rub elbows with some of the officers on this leg, if you talk to them, it's nothing to be taken lightly. The power to take away someone's freedom, the power to take away someone's life. So that can begin to weigh on them. One of the things that I relate to is you come out of the academy, you're all full of energy, you hit the road, you got a fast car on your hip and a badge, and you want to go do cool stuff, kick in doors and take bad guys in jail. Fast forward 20 years, 20 miles, that weight starts to get a little heavy. You've seen some stuff, you've done some weights, they're going to hurt your shoulders, they're going to hurt your knees, they're going to hurt your feet. What ends up happening is that you start off knowing that people are to your right and to your left, and then next thing all you can see is just the 2 steps in front of you because you're just trying to survive. All you feel is the pain. And what you got to do, all you got to do is look up and see your buddies next to you. So, the last couple things, and then I'm going to cut you guys loose. We've got about 12 minutes before you step off. Is, does anybody here have extra weight that they try, that they want, that they're carrying? You're awesome or something. No? Okay. In the past, the reason I asked, because we've had folks carry, like, well, they're in the military, had some buddies killed in action, they wanted to carry some weight and honor them. It just may have not got communicated whenever they passed their ruck off to someone else, and now they can't figure out why their weight's, their pack's 50 pounds. So just trying to make sure everybody's clear and open. There shouldn't be any traffic on the road, but just every now and then cars are passing through, so mind the cars on the road. Whenever y'all get to the end, y'all will put your weights back on that table. You're going to account for every single one. If y'all are missing one, there's a roster in the binder where you'll start to check the weights. At the end, we'll take the flag, the End of Watch Memorial Road flag, over to the side. Y'all will have some, Tom's getting some kind of food for y'all at the end. I'm not exactly sure what it's going to be yet. Y'all can get that food. We'll sign the flag, take a group picture, and then I'll pat y'all for the end. I know I mentioned the bios earlier, so what most teams have been doing, just to kind of make it easy for you, is they're numbered tabs. So y'all were leg 6. Find tab 6, turn that over. There should be 21 bios right there. Pull those out, and then I want those bios read before the end of y'all's leg. So if y'all do one a lap, I don't care. Most people have just been reading all of them on the first go. Put them in there, forget about it, just worry about the run. Okay. And I think that's about it. Josh, am I forgetting anything?
Finish line ceremony.
Finish line ceremony, because I've been forgetting that every single time. Saturday, 3:30, we're going to step off. I'm inviting all the athletes to come out and do the final mile together. That way you can meet all your teammates from the previous legs. And so get here a little early, maybe 3-ish, a little bit before. Enough time to make it to that red tent down at the end. And then we'll do the final mile together. And then we'll could be brought in with the honor guard, with the sheriff's posse doing the riderless horse tribute. I would do a reading of the names. We do the final laying of the weights, kind of signifying them coming home one last time. So, I still feel like I'm forgetting something. So anyways, y'all can go divide those weights, figure out how you're going to do it.